This is the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast.
Welcome back, my friends, to another edition of the Celebrity Afterlife Report, the only show on the internet that gives you the most up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. My Nextwell sources never rest when it comes to keeping up with the afterlife celeb scene, and once they pass the info on to me, I give it straight to you. I am the Celebrity Medium. I'm as ready as I'll ever be, so, I don't know, what do you say? Let's do this thing. Well, last week I reported to you that actress Yvonne Craig, who played Batgirl on the old Batman TV series, had transitioned to the next world. After her welcoming ceremony presided over by a batsuit-wearing James Brown, Yvonne was taken aside by Christopher Reeve, who played Superman in 3 movies. The two had an intense conversation, the topic of which we did not know at the time. Thanks to some of my Afterlife paparazzi sources, I now know what the confab was about, and it relates to another story we've been following for some time now. Turns out that Reeve was explaining the whole situation about aviator Charles Lindbergh and his plans to build an all-white town in the next world to Yvonne. Regular listeners know the complicated story behind that, and newcomers to the report can listen to earlier editions to get up to speed. Suffice it to say that Lindbergh has been working on his little eternal apartheid village for some time now, and that it has attracted many protesters. I just found out that Chris Reeve, who of course is no longer confined to a wheelchair, thought that the opposition to Lucky Lindy's plans needed a little boost, so he's formed Superheroes Against Racism. He's been quietly approaching any actors in the afterlife who played superheroes on the earthly plane to once again don their costumes and join the protesters outside the walls of the planned community to attract publicity. Now, I don't have the complete list of actors participating in the publicity stunt, but I do know that in addition to Yvonne Craig, Reeve has also enlisted Bud Collyer, who played Superman on the radio. So, yes, there will be 2 Supermen, or is that Supermans, at the protest. The plan is for the costumed actors to be at the protest site every day to draw media attention to the opposition to segregation. Just before recording this podcast, I got word that the idea seems to be working, as there were more TV cameras and print reporters at the first appearance of Superheroes Against Racism than the protest had drawn without them for some time. Last week, we got the shocking revelation that Katherine Wright, sister of Orville and Wilbur Wright, the inventors of the airplane, had hooked up, as the kids say, with former astronaut Sally Ride. The boys were fighting over the affections of Sally when their younger sister swooped in and beat them to the Space Girl. Since then, O&W have been tight-lipped about the whole situation, but via one of my most trusted Next World sources comes word that the 2 aviators are fuming about it. Word is that Sally and Katherine are now very much an item, and the Wright boys are telling anyone who will listen that they never really had any romantic interest in Wright. Both of them have gone out of their way to make a show of being seen in public places with attractive women in an apparent attempt to downplay the fact that they were spurned for their sister. One anonymous source who claims to be a close personal friend of Orville Wright told the Afterlife celebrity TV news show that Princess Diana now works for as a reporter that Orville is trying to arrange a photo shoot for the Next World edition of Playgirl magazine to reinforce his status as a stud. As reported here last week, the train wreck of an action film called The Lassie Squad has been reimagined as a wacky comedy after the original concept proved unworkable. Gee, you think? Executive producer Rudd Weatherwax added silent movie star Buster Keaton to the cast as the human commander of the all-canine police team. Now comes word that other comedy legends have signed up to star alongside the collies. Buddy Hackett, Sid Caesar, Milton Berle, Mickey Rooney, and others are now on board. If that list sounds familiar, that's because all of them appeared in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World back in the early 60s. So based on that information, it seems to me as if the producers of the Lassie Squad have fully embraced the fact that the idea of making a serious action film with an all-dog cast was doomed to failure from the start. If the information I have been given is correct, though, they're gonna have to work fast. Word is that the movie is slated for release on September 12, the anniversary of the airing of the first episode of the Lassie TV show in the 60s. A source tells me that the cast and crew is shooting round the clock and frantically improvising many scenes and working around mistakes in a desperate attempt to make the looming deadline. This one's going to come right down to the wire, and I have a sneaking feeling it's either going to be a total disaster or a cult hit destined for midnight movie status. We shall see in the next few weeks, I guess. Lastly, according to multiple sources, there was a kerfuffle backstage at the TV variety show hosted by former American President Abraham Lincoln and his afterlife wife, actress-singer Whitney Houston. At a table read of the script for an upcoming episode, Abe and Whitney both objected to a sketch in which Ms. Houston was supposed to play a slave girl who was freed in supposedly comic fashion by President Lincoln. A source who was in the room says that when Whitney realized what the premise of the sketch was, she threw down her script and loudly said, "Oh, hell no!" A locked door meeting was hastily ordered, and when the dust settled, the sketch was no longer on the agenda, and the writer responsible for it had been fired from the show. And with that, I prepare to lock up the studio for another week. Please come back next week when I'll have more up-to-the-minute gossip about all your favorite deceased celebrities. Between now and then, would you please help spread the word that the report is available for free on iTunes? I am the Celebrity Medium. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the Celebrity Afterlife Report podcast. To ask a question about your favorite deceased celebrity, call 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-3-MY-DREAM. 818-369-3732.